I am friends with Bill Apter on Facebook. I wasn't planning on watching Raw tonight, but Bill Apter, who's usually very positive no matter what, did not like this Rusev Lana wedding segment on Raw tonight. So I went ahead and actually looked it up on YouTube to see for myself. And yeah, it was really bad. Not as bad as the last AEW segment of 2019 with the Dark Order and the fake punches and that, but it was really bad. If this is how Raw is going to close off the decade, it's not a good sign for WWE. At 350 of the, you can even hear Rusev call a clothesline spot to Lashley, which is really sloppy. Like, basically what happened in this segment, I didn't even know who Liv Morgan was, but she came out and basically claimed to be the lover of Lana. And then Rusev came out of a wooden cake or something and attacked Lashley, but it wasn't a realistic looking attack. He was throwing very obvious working punches and, I mean, clotheslines and stuff. To me, if you're really mad at somebody, you're not gonna be beating them up in a wrestling way. And as I said, you could even hear him call the clothesline spot. So it is a fact that people are losing interest in WWE. Their house shows, according to the Wrestling Observer, lost money last year. It hasn't come out overall if they've lost money this year, but they definitely lost money last quarter. WWE is also off of Sky Sports in the UK. According to the Wrestling Observer, they had one episode this year of Raw on Sky Sports in the UK that only had 3,000 viewers, which is pretty bad. Lots of comments on here. Everyone agrees that ratings are 2019, including Russell Wheat. House shows are way down, as I've said. And Fox, what is interesting is if all you remember, when WWE was going to go to Fox, we all heard it was going to be more of a sports-like. W was originally claiming they were going to be more of a sports-like product too, but we haven't seen that with either company. Also in AEW news, Cody Rhodes announced that Arn Anderson is now going to manage him in AEW, for anyone that cares about that. Access TV, wrestling news world about a female employee that's claiming that one of the executives at Impact Wrestling, either Scott D'Amore or Don Callis, you could probably assume, apparently was sexually harassing her. She's no longer with the company. Access TV made a statement, Impact Wrestling claims, saying we do not comment on internal matters. An Anthem sports representative said this. Anthem confirms that the allegations of inappropriate behavior by a member of the Impact Wrestling executive team was made by a former talent, but not until many months after the talent had been released. These allegations played no part in the decision by Impact Wrestling to release the talent. There's one thing I've noticed, by the way, in both my real jobs and in wrestling. If somebody makes a claim against management, they usually get fired. They can try and fight it after in a union or make a claim like this woman did about whichever the executives are, but they're going to be fired. It doesn't usually work out well, only in some cases when you complain about someone above you harassing you. I've seen this on and on and on. And speaking of Impact Wrestling, Richard McPhee, who runs an Impact Wrestling forum, wanted to ask me about my 2017 Impact Wrestling match and what happened with that. Basically, they just wanted to use me to help get a crowd for the last Impact Wrestling taping that they did in the town that I live in. I was able to get them extra newspaper stories. They weren't honest with me in my dealings with them in many ways. I don't even want to get into it because I don't want to give them any publicity, but not in any of my dealings with them were they honest with me, is all I can say about Impact Wrestling. And let's hope they switch around the executives. If they're still going to be around, somehow they never die. It's a horrible product, but let's hope they fire the executives, bring in some new people that can actually make a good product. That would be my advice to whoever's in charge of Impact Wrestling, because they don't put out their ratings. They're so low that they don't put them out. They don't put out their pay-per-view buy rates. And we did see that like they had at least one non-televised event that was aired on Twitch only that had less than 100 fans this year, and their attendance has been horribly low. So I would suggest that whoever the person is in charge of hiring the executives for Impact Wrestling should replace them because they're not doing a good job, in my opinion. The product is awful. You have Ken Shamrock, a MMA Hall of Famer, UFC Hall of Famer, and you have him grabbing people's dicks. I mean, anyone that thinks that's the best thing they can come up with a guy like Ken Shamrock on the roster is a complete idiot, in my opinion. Just like a lot of people think, by the way, that Brock Lesnar should have had a feud with Lashley. It seemed natural. Even Lashley alluded that it would be a good feud in an interview he did with the Hannibal TV around the time that I had my my Impact match in 2017, which, by the way, the Lashley did tell me he liked my match on that show, and the best experience, the best part of what I did with Impact back then was my meeting Lashley, and he was really cool. Ryan Bowman says Impact has become a clown show. Don Callis had a nice run as Booker for a while, but hit a wall and just started doing comedy skits. Well, Don Callis actually had a company for like a year or less. No one remembers it because it wasn't any good. It was called No Holds Barred Wrestling. So it didn't last. So that shows you when he's playing with his own money, the kind of talent that he has. When you're playing with someone else's money, you can do stupid stuff. Barlight Broker just tipped me $2. Lifting barbell plates, eating T-bone steaks. One of Billy Graham's saying, a good friend of mine. Hopefully I'll get another shoot interview with him when I'm back in Phoenix in March. By the way, the best Superstar Billy Graham impression I've ever heard is Hillbilly Jim's Billy Graham impression in the shoot interview with him that I put out free yesterday on the Hannibal TV, 2.5 hours. Pedro Cantor says, Raw was tarped in a tarped arena. Yes, I did notice that, and I will put the picture as a screenshot. When the camera zooms in, or at one point it shows Rusev, and you can see most of the back of the arena is all tarped off, and it looks like the top level of the arena is tarped off, so it's obvious they did not have a good crowd for Raw. Obviously, this whole Rusev Lana thing is not drawing for them, and people hate it. They obviously just like people talking about how bad it is because they keep doing it. Is it actually going to sell tickets to events or sell pay-per-view buys or network subscriptions? Last I checked, network subscriptions were not up. So I don't know. Finally, you made a live stream. Robert Franklin 615 says. So thank you, everyone. That's going to be. Oh, Joe Dante has a good question. Any chance of getting Jeff Jarrett interviewed? He works for WWE. He's a producer for WWE. There is 2 short interviews with Jarrett here on the Hannibal TV, but apparently he doesn't like me anymore. He told David Penzer last year at WrestleCon that he would not do an interview with David Penzer for me because he didn't like what Jerry Jarrett said about him in his shoot interview with me. So all I did was record an interview with his father, and because I posted it, he doesn't like me anymore. Joe JG says, can someone name a single bright spot on Raw? I stopped watching Raw a long time ago. Very, very long time ago. So I couldn't tell you the last bright spot on Raw from any episode. I can't remember. But I just want to thank you guys since this is... Oh, by the way, I did do a phone interview with Billy Jack Haynes today that's going to be up in the next couple of days. And he told me something that really I don't like to hear. He actually told me that he's back again having pill issues. So if anyone listening to this knows someone from the WWE rehab program, he's never been to rehab. I don't think he's going to reach out to WWE, but I didn't like to hear that he's having pill issues. And I really hope that he can either kick it himself or get some help because he is a good guy, and I don't want to see anything bad happen to him. So thanks, everyone. We have grown a lot this year on the Hannibal TV. We're almost at 100 million views. Somebody did a top 100 YouTube list, and it's so funny. I have so much heat, they completely cut the Hannibal TV out of this list. And I guess it was a popular list, but like not many YouTube channels out there for wrestling have almost 100 million views. So I'm really happy and thankful for you guys for helping me with that. And I'm going to continue to grow. Krilling876, thank you for the $2 tip. Do I think WWE added crowd noise on Wrestling Challenge? Probably not if it was a hot crowd, but probably if they had crowds that weren't giving the reactions they wanted, I don't see why they wouldn't add crowd noise. Those were taped syndicated shows. So it's very possible, especially when they're doing 3 or 3.5 hour tapings, sometimes you're going to have a bad crowd. So you would need to add crowd noise. Dubose says, do I think they destroyed Liv Morgan's Return Wild? No. I didn't even know who she was, and now I know who she is. So if they did one thing good, I now know who this person is. She's not the greatest actor. Wrestlers overall are not good actors. I'll be the first to admit I'm no phenomenal actor. But when I'm wrestling, same as if I'm doing real fighting, you kind of just transform into a different person sometimes. I did. But this Liv Morgan, she's attractive, but this segment was not entertaining for sure. Scott, aka SWB75, says, get well, superstar. Yeah, I mean, this guy is a survivor. Billy Graham has survived so much. I mean, I think he's less than 5 years younger than Bruno Sammartino, and Bruno Sammartino supposedly lived a perfectly clean life, and Billy Graham's almost as old as Bruno was when he died. But I'll be honest with you, other than steroids, and I know he took speed, Billy Graham was not a drug user, not even weed. He didn't do cocaine. He does not drink, to my knowledge. Maybe he drank a little bit here and there, but he was not a partier. So he was fairly clean other than the steroids. Monsieur Formula One says Cody is a clown. AEW sucks. I will agree that I don't know. I don't think AEW is going to get better. I don't think they are. And it's funny listening to Jim Ross's podcast. I do like the information Jim Ross gives, but I think it's funny that he's so against this whole war between AEW and WWE when that's like the most interesting behind the scene thing in wrestling right now. In all of wrestling, the most interesting thing to me right now is the AEW war. Oh, and one other thing, a bunch of people, I did a video yesterday about Lars Sullivan. Now he's not going to be allowed in Saudi Arabia because he did homosexual porn. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I don't give a damn. But being gay is illegal in Saudi Arabia, and they'll actually kill you for it. So it's funny that he will no longer be able to wrestle there. Not funny, but it's funny that WWE goes to a place like that will actually kill people for being gay or actually do stuff to their genitals or whip them publicly if they're gay. But somebody commented, well, Pat Patterson is in WWE. Well, have you seen any pictures of Pat Patterson at any of the Saudi Arabia shows? Why do you assume, you people that pointed out, well, Pat Patterson's in WWE, why do you assume that he was at any of the Saudi Arabia shows? He's publicly come out as being gay. It'd be way too dangerous for him to go to a place like that. And there you go. Pedro Cantor says if Lars did go to Saudi Arabia, he would not be coming back. That is true. MC says Vince will do anything for money. Yes, he will. And I'm very interested. Here's something else that's going to be interesting to see in 2020 for me. How the XFL will affect the WWE. Because there's a whole thing now with stockholders saying that like there's a conflict now because Vince doing the XFL, he's now going to be distracted from WWE running the XFL, and they're also going to be spending WWE TV time promoting the XFL where they could be promoting WWE. And WWE stockholders are not necessarily XFL stockholders, but WWE stockholders want the company to be doing everything they can to make their stock more valuable. So the XFL is a distraction. And if it's another huge money loss, I don't think that's going to be a good thing for WWE. And if you think about it, how good is the football quality going to be? It's come out that they're paying players less than they're paying CFL players, which means that likely the quality of football in the XFL is going to be lower than the CFL. And in my opinion, CFL compared to NFL is a massive difference, and in most people's opinion. So how bad is the XFL going to be? I don't know. I think it could be a disaster. Rod Zor says CFL over XFL. Yeah, for sure. Anyways, guys, checking out for 2019, unless some major news comes up tomorrow afternoon. It's going to be a big year for the Hannibal TV. Great North Wrestling's first event of 2019 is going to be February the 29th at the Gallipo Center in Smith Falls. It's a theater. We're going to try and live stream it for our worldwide audience on my personal Devon Nicholson YouTube channel. Look it up, subscribe to it. It's only going to be for live streams and various extended videos. Haku and Barbarian are facing Bloodhunter and Too Cold Scorpio in the main event. Lufisto is challenging Jessica Black for the Great North Wrestling Canadian Championship. Jeremy Prophet is going to be fighting Carl LeDuc for the Canadian Championship. Carl LeDuc is the nephew of Joe LeDuc. So the Hannibal TV has more information on that. And of course, our big 13th anniversary show is August 8th at the Earl Armstrong Arena in Ottawa. And Robert Frank 615 just tipped me $19.99 and says, here's to a successful 2020. Your interviews get me through fasted cardio every morning. Big fan. Well, thank you, sir. I'll cheers to you to that. Have a good night, everybody, and a great 2020.